Hello.
Hello, Supreme.
We're back again. Yeah.
We're talking about life skills that are important for the future in an AI-driven world. Right? You know how we hear, oh, these are important career skills you need to have for the future to AI-proof your career. So we're here to, give you some.
To AI-proof your life.
Yes, to AI-proof your life.
Yes.
So that you would not become less human as time progresses and evolves.
So I think this started with us just thinking about how much the world is becoming more reliant on AI.
Yeah.
So you hear stories of people who are dating, people who are in the dating pool.
Oh my God.
And maybe they're on dating apps and you just find out that you are chatting with a bot.
Yeah.
Or the other person is a real profile of a real human. However, the person is using AI to send responses instead of actually chatting with the other person. Or you go on X. So there's this whole thing. Grok is intertwined with X, formerly Twitter, and somebody posts something, and the next reply under is, Grok, is this true? Grok, what is? Can you explain this to me like I'm five? And so there's all this ease of which I don't like hard life like that. You understand?
Yeah.
But
there's some use for
yes,
we're grateful for artificial
intelligence, but people they are losing their human intelligence to artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So that's a problem. And that's why we just thought, let's identify certain aspects that make us human. What makes humans human?
Skills that we should preserve.
As human beings. And I think that in the coming years, it's going to become more scarce.
That means that people who are able to preserve and even improve these skills,
yes, will stand out. So that's the conversation we're about having. And I think the first one, let's start from this place of having this conversation. So I think the first one will be having hard conversations.
Oh my God.
So having hard conversations, I think I've learned this in a very hard way because I've noticed that people would rather ghost. They would rather ghost you than have hard conversations. Now, people, again, who are in the relationship space would understand ghosting, where maybe a guy is chasing a lady or a lady is chasing a guy, and then they're trying to have conversations and know each other, and all of a sudden, one party just disappears and is not responding to chats, is not responding to phone calls, and when they finally see face to face, the person pretends like he didn't see the other person, that kind of thing, and makes the other person feel like they're going local.
Yes.
You understand? So it's a problem where, sorry, what were you saying?
Like they're losing their minds.
So there's a problem. There's a problem with people actually having hard conversations. You encounter people who will gaslight you for asking hard questions.
Yeah.
You are trying to get to know somebody. You want to understand where the person is coming from. You want to understand the person's character. You want to understand how the person feels about certain topics. But the person does not let you know if they are offended and why they are offended.
But they act it out.
And
give you the attitude.
But give you the cold shoulder so that you shut up. So they gaslight you into shutting up. You can't ask about it. It's a topic that must not be brought up. Almost like he must not be named.
So that's even for like a romantic relationship setting.
It's not just a romantic relationship setting.
For the example you gave.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
But it can also happen like across relationships.
Platonic relationships, even at jobs. Yes, even at jobs, it happens as well, where a boss can fire an employee under the guise of something. So this one happened to me personally, where the work laptop was stolen, and I reported it that the work laptop was stolen.
Yes.
And of course, that time we're getting married. and we're moving to another city.
Yes.
And I had already had this whole conversation. I had already informed the company that this is what was going on. I was getting married, and everything was good and fine. I had already been working remotely for the past year.
Since COVID started.
Yeah, for the past year. And so we said, I mean, in fact, I even had high appraisals. It was said that my work was much more, I was working much more efficiently remotely. But I received an email saying that the company could not afford my salary.
You asked for a raise.
I asked for a raise before that, but they said the company could not afford a raise. So I was making do with the salary that was being paid. However, they said suddenly, after the work laptop was stolen, they said that they could not afford my salary. However, what my boss told my colleague was that the Supreme lost the work laptop, and he got married and he moved to another city. So I don't think he will be able to work as efficiently as he has been doing. So he won't be with us anymore. That was what was said. Anyway, that was not what was said in the email that was sent to me. So she literally lied to fire me. Instead of having a conversation with me.
Yes.
Have a straight conversation. Supreme, we're going to try this for the next 2 to 3 months. Or if it is that, Supreme, you're going to pay us back for the company laptop, that kind of thing. I would understand. But why would you lie to fire somebody that has been doing the job for the past 2 years?
So yeah.
It's a problem. And people like to blame, as we have these conversations, right? There's a caveat. These things that we're mentioning, people think it is generational. So people may want to blame Gen Zs. It's not Gen Zs. It's not Gen Zs. Because this person who did this was a millennial like me. You understand? So it's not Gen Zs. And I've met boomers who also cannot have hard conversations. Yeah, so there's a problem.
Yeah.
As technology becomes more rampant, as I think it started when people started having conversation on the phone, people could not look people in the eyes anymore.
Then keypad
warriors. So you meet somebody who can say a lot behind anonymously, but can't talk face to face. That's a very big issue.
And I think it's important. It's an important skill because as the world progresses, we're going to find that relationships are going to be very pivotal to maintaining our sanity.
Oh, yes.
In that sense.
I mean, when people go for therapy, it's conversations.
Yes, exactly. And you need to be able to have difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Right? Even at work with your career, to advance, to even,
to negotiate your pay.
Yeah, to negotiate your pay, to study the both of even career relationships you are building.
Yeah.
You need to be able to have
hard conversations. You need to have hard conversations. If you form real bonds, if you think you're going to form real bonds and not have a sham of a marriage or a sham of a relationship, you need to, friendship relationships. You would need to have hard conversations. You need to be comfortable with it. Not everybody that wants to have a hard conversation with you or ask the real questions that matter hates you. In fact, I feel like they even love you more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's the next skill?
The next skill, I think the next skill is critical thinking. Critical thinking.
So there was this event I went for. I don't know if it was last month or last 2 weeks, where the speaker was saying that when there's a loss of critical thinking, I'm paraphrasing, it opens the door for authoritarian dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yes. So it opens the door for authoritarian rule. There's dictatorship because people are not thinking for themselves. They're not critically assessing a situation to come upon the appropriate conclusion.
Yeah.
So they're just swallowing whatever filthy nonsense the public is feeding them, social media is feeding them, influencers are feeding them, and all of that. So I think that critical thinking is going to be very significant.
It's significant. It is very significant, and that's what makes it sad, because if you are not a critical thinker, you cannot be a true believer. You can't be a true believer in Jesus Christ.
Okay.
You would easily be brainwashed. You will easily be tossed about by every wind of doctrine.
That is so true, especially because this is so rampant.
Yes, because if you don't think, so what is critical thinking? Critical thinking, as far as I'm concerned, is being able to ask the right questions. And for me, I think the most important question to ask is why?
Why?
Why? So if somebody says to jump into this lagoon, you ask why? Why am I jumping? Do you understand what I'm saying? Why do I have to jump? It's not enough for you to just tell me that you must jump.
And this is very important, because when we worship our local assembly, there's that, when we want to give, there's always that reiteration of why.
Why do
we give to? So it's not a thing of we just give because we just give, or we just give because it's a tradition in the church to just give your offerings. There's a why.
There's a why. Okay. So I think that's where it starts. That's where critical thinking starts. If there's somebody watching this and the person does not know how to think, or the person doesn't understand how to critically think or form an opinion for themselves, just start with this one question. Like everything you see, question it.
Yeah.
Just try and question it. Why?
Yeah, I think that's
you understand.
The first step.
That's the first step. You can
read resources.
Graduate. Yes.
You can watch. I don't know about watching music, but you can read books around improving your critical thinking.
And
because it can be learned.
It can be learned.
So it's okay if you feel like I'm not sure I'm really a critical thinker in that sense. It's fine. So now we are here. What can we do? You can read a book. You can watch a video resource. You can ask.
You can ask questions, because in a world where people don't think, like you said, that thing about dictatorship, a dictatorship is where somebody is doing all the thinking for you.
It's probably why we have the leaders we have.
The kind of leaders that we have. and I don't blame certain people, because some people grow up in homes where their parents, their father especially, was the Alpha and the Omega, and did not allow any other person to think.
What that is?
Yes, if you asked a question, you were slapped or you were knocked. You were not allowed to think. You were just supposed to follow. And so zombies have grown up, and they are now breeding smaller zombies. It's a big problem, because then you go into the world and you're not able to make decisions for yourself.
Yes.
And you want to make a big purchase, and one influencer who has been paid to push a defective product shows up on your screen, and then you splash money on that thing.
Because the influencer said it.
Because he said it. You don't ask questions, you don't do your own research. You don't check for contextual needs. You don't check if it fits into your context. You don't. So it's a problem. It's a big problem. As human beings, again, we have a brain. You're supposed to use the brain to think. You're supposed to apply logic. That's what I think. As human beings, I feel like if two critical thinkers were to meet and sit down and have conversations, they would feel fuller.
Yeah.
They would really feel fuller, which moves me to, I think critical thinking and decision making are kind of tied. So you notice that more people are using AI to make decisions. Life decisions. So if I'm to tie critical thinking and this decision making, together, you go online and you see people are mortgaging their future at the hands of influencers. People are making investment choices based on what an influencer says. People are making
critical thinking around money decisions.
Yes. So it's a problem. Ladies, yes, some ladies are. You go on Twitter and you see somebody says, I cannot marry a man who is not earning in 6 figures. The person so the person that types that thing is not married and doesn't plan on getting married. And you follow. And you say, if this person said it, then that is my standard. And there are guys who are saying, sporty bets is the best way forward. You understand? And they pour all their money into bets. They use their school fees, house rent, waiting, because they use a popular guy. I don't want to mention people's names, but they use the popular guy to run the ad. They show you his car, an expensive car that costs hundreds of millions, and they tell you that it was through that sports bet that he made the money to buy that car. And you don't think.
So ridiculous.
And you just carry money and you dump it in there. It's a problem. It's a big problem. Or you are unfortunate enough to meet a wolf in sheep's clothing who thwarts the scripture and says something that doesn't make sense. And you just fall hook, line, sinker for it. You're not like the Berean Christian that goes back and opens their Bible.
To just read it.
To just read.
Sometimes read the entire chapter.
Read the entire chapter. He just picks
or even
verse.
If not the entire chapter, just read the verse.
The verse before and the verse after.
And the verse after.
Don't go too far even. You understand? You just read the verse before, the verse after. Just to check it out. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You just carry it. My pastor said. My pastor said. There's a problem. Don't give believers a bad name.
Yeah. So critical thinking.
Yes. So critical thinking, decision making.
Yeah.
People are not making decisions for themselves. And it's bad because, so let me tell you where we are going. We have Alexa, we have Gemini, we have Siri, we have ChatGPT, all of them. So what is happening now is that companies are paying to be the top suggestions of these AIs. So when you say, I want lunch, you are not deciding where you're ordering the lunch from. The thing, you just say, I want to eat lunch. What lunch do you want? So, and so. And then the thing picks a place for you. So your decision making has been taken over by AI. In some settings, it's not that bad, but in some other settings, there's a problem.
I mean, if AI is making, basic decisions like
creating your content calendar.
It should then create room for you to then think critically about important.
Yes, it should normally. Yeah. It should. However, if you are farming out everything, I don't know what to say. That means you're making your brain useless. And they said that if a particular muscle, if you're not using a particular muscle that you're supposed to be using, for example, if I tie this hand, or if I just leave it, I stop using this hand, you're going to notice that the muscle is going to have atrophy. The muscle is going to become very slimmer than this. It's going to shrink. You understand? Because it's useless. I'm not exercising, I'm not moving it, so to become weak, and it's going to shrink. Do your research. So if you're not using your brain, the brain is going to shrink. Problem. So you're not thinking with the brain, you're not making any decision with it. The brain will go to sleep.
You don't want to be a walking dead.
So I think the next thing I want to talk about is creativity. So this creativity part as a life skill. In the other video where we're talking about our weird success metrics, there I was talking about how that getting creative ideas is one of my success metrics. And I remember mentioning there that it may not even be about what to write. Maybe about what to cook. Like the foods, maybe a new recipe and all that. So creativity has been I think many people have misunderstood creativity to be creating something from scratch, creating something from nothing. But I think that creativity is being able to recreate something even.
Yeah.
So something that you've seen that somebody else has created, you are able to repurpose it.
Yeah.
With
Sometimes it's making connections between things that people would think are mutually exclusive.
exclusive.
Right. That could also be creativity. And I think that as a life skill, creativity is a way to solve problems as a life skill because it's like an alternative way of thinking about a situation. So you can look at a situation and if you think about ways to solve that situation in like multiple ways.
Yeah.
I think you're creative.
Yeah.
I think that's creativity. Creative problem solving. Why they call it creative
Creative
problem solving for a reason.
Yeah.
Where there are just, many ways around. Like you'd always say there's always a way.
There's always a way.
And I feel like
And so
it's a critical skill.
yes, and so creativity. Now let me tell you why this popped up for me and where I'm going with this. Now somebody may ask, Supreme, you're talking about creativity and there are different AI tools for anything you want to do. If you want to create music, if you want to create videos, if you want to create pictures, if you want to recreate a picture that has already been taken. So there are different AI tools. So why exactly should I bother about creativity? Now, you need creativity to be able to get the best out of AI, to be able to prompt the AI in a certain way. So if you just put in generic terms there, it would give you generic results. But you need to even have an idea in your mind and be able to put that idea into words to be able to get the best from these AI systems.
I think it's why some people even sell ChatGPT
Prompts.
Because they've sat down to creatively
engineer these things, these prompts. In fact, you have to be thinking creatively to still be useful at your job. We're discussing the other day about the cybersecurity guy who faked his way to the top.
Cybersecurity leadership.
Faked his way into cybersecurity leadership.
He faked certifications.
Faked
That no one bothered to review or check.
HR didn't bother to review or check.
Call
them out. HR. It's HR.
And he had a criminal record. Nobody did a background check.
Nothing.
Became a cybersecurity leader before he was caught.
And you then ask yourself, what was HR doing? I've said this before, and I've said it.
That's not the point of this conversation.
I have to say it that one of the places where you see the least creativity is HR professionals. Yes, it's HR professionals.
Not all HR professionals.
It's not all
HR.
But that's one of the because they are so relaxed because they are the ones who who are supposed to be hiring the talents, but they are not so creative. How I know that they are not creative? In the hiring process, they use age-old hiring processes. In creating job descriptions, they don't even check the job description. They don't even know the requirements for which they are hiring. They don't understand the requirements for the role that they are hiring in. So they're not even creative in creating the job description. They just copy and paste. So for a junior role, you're saying that the person is 3 years experience. Who does that? They're not creative. I know my wife does not want me to say it, but I'll say it. They're not very creative. And so in this role, where you're hiring a cybersecurity expert, where you're supposed to have done the background check, I'm sure maybe you had thousands of candidates. Okay, no problem. There are systems that would have helped check. There are systems that would have helped validate the certifications and everything. But because they're not thinking creatively of, okay, what are the new systems? What are the new tools? What are the new applications that can help me do this work better, faster, more efficiently? They're not thinking of it. Why? Because of atrophy. Atrophy are certain because they feel very secure in their roles. Nobody's going to push them. Nobody's going to check them. They are the ones that check other people. And that's just one rule. The fact that you're not a HR doesn't mean that atrophy has not set in you. Go and check. Are you seeking out new ways to actually do your job? Are you trying to improve? Yes, sorry.
Yeah. As you were speaking, it just occurred to me that these skills are sort of interrelated. How critical thinking drives into decision making and even drives into creativity.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a critical thinker is more likely to be creative.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You find different spins and angles for issues that come your way.
Yeah.
So I think I would dump it there for creativity. And then I think
last one.
the last one I will land on. Do you want to talk about it? Should I?
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, yeah.
What if you were to define it, what would your definition be?
Is being intelligent about your emotions. Okay, so I think emotional intelligence. So here's what I think about emotional intelligence. I think that an emotionally intelligent person is a person who understands the full range of emotions that a human is capable of and is capable of expressing them adequately. You understand? That's what I think about emotional intelligence.
Capable of expressing them.
Yes. So you understand the full range. You understand the full range of human emotions and you're capable of expressing them adequately.
Of human emotions or of your own emotions?
Human emotions. Emotions that a human is capable of.
Because express.
Yes. Because when I say human, if you say of your own emotions, when you're dealing with other people, you have to also be emotionally intelligent. Yeah. You have to understand if a person's face or the body language is a certain way. You should be able to interpret it.
Yeah.
So that's what I think about emotional intelligence.
I have a definition.
Okay.
AI definition.
AI definition.
It's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions.
Okay.
And the emotions of others. But you added the full range.
Yes.
Of emotions.
The full range. Yeah. So the reason why I say the full range is because I so used to emojis. Oh. And with emojis, there's a limited set of emotions expressed. There's only a limited range of emotions that emojis can show. Mm-hmm. If I ask you to name the emotions that those emojis represent, you can only name just a couple of them. So it waters down the feeling. It waters down what we actually feel inside. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, somebody can say LOL, and the person is just meh. So I remember when we first got married, and maybe she said something, or maybe she did something, and then my face is just, maybe poker face, and then she's asking me, "Are you angry?" And I say, "I'm not angry." So it's either maybe I'm sad, or I'm just thinking about it, like I'm in a pensive mood because I'm considering, okay, what does this mean? Was I the one? What exactly did I do to cause that thought in her mind? That kind of. So I remember I had to explain that I'm not angry. Maybe I'm sad about the situation.
You're in a pensive mood.
I'm in a pensive mood. I'm just thinking about it. So it's not like I'm angry. I'm not sad, I'm not angry, I'm not excited. And and emotionally intelligent people, I think, are going to be scarce. And the reason why I think that is back in 2020 when COVID struck, and all of us had to stay indoors and work from home, I was trying to write an article then, so I had to do a lot of research about the effect of remote work. And one of the things I learned is that because many of us are behind the screens, we don't have that interaction that we do with other people. So we don't have conversations as we used to. We don't meet people. We don't have conversations basically. We don't read facial expressions anymore. Some people lost their ability to be sarcastic, that kind of thing. So that we lost touch with each other. I think these are the most important human life skills.
That's what we think, but you can
That's what
add
we think.
some.
Yeah.
If you think we missed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we covered all the skills, but
those are the ones that we have.
Yes, whatever skill you think that people should have or preserve in that
long
term.
That will set you apart from a bot or a humanoid.
Or a humanoid. Yeah, you can please drop them in the comment section.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you for watching this
for
video.
watching. I learned something today, and I hope I'm doing it right. This is like I think it's a Jersey thing. I don't know, but I'm a millennial, so yeah. Please manage it like that.
I remain supreme.
And I wish I would
This is Osham's Gen Z.
I'm not Gen Z, I'm a millennial. Please.
I'll see you guys in the next video. Of course, if you think that if you got value from this video, please do well to share and leave a comment, just letting us know. I mean, if you agree or disagree, we're open to people agreeing or disagreeing now.
Yes.
Especially if you disagree.
We are critical thinkers.
Yeah. We appreciate people who disagree with us. So please, if you disagree, put it down in the comment, no problem. We want to see. We can have a chat in the comment section. All right.
Bye.